players who came before us and helping out our young guys as well and helping out ourselves, you know?
Give me your critique of him. Like, analyze his play, what kind of player he is.
Right now, we haven't gone to practice yet, so things can change, you know?
Do you ever reflect on how far you've come? I mean, like, you moved to Massillon, there were a lot of questions about could you make it at Ohio State academically, things like that. And now you're talking about people talking about you being a first-round guy next year. You had the chance to go to the draft if you wanted to. Do you ever reflect on kind of where you've gone from where you were?
100%. Like, most of everybody knows that I did not come from the greatest part. I didn't come from I don't have like the mental, like the I have a learning disability, and that's why I wasn't like the high recruited player because I had a learning disability, and now everybody's like praising me now. I'm like, that's fine, but where was this like before? Like, you know, like it's all fine and dandy right now, but y'all wasn't there when I was like back then, just struggling just to have my test scores right, or struggling just to have my mental state right because I was still a kid, just like learning everything, you know. And that's where like, you know, people mess up as like yeah, you congratulate me right now, but where was you like back then? You know what I mean? It's like nobody. I'm not calling out nobody, of course, but I'm just saying like overall, you know.
Hey, Thayer, we spent a lot of time talking to Michigan players yesterday, and all of them said that they're putting a lot more emphasis on the rivalry this year. Given how lopsided it's been for so long, how surprised are you that it's taken this long for them to put more emphasis on it?
To be honest, I'm not really surprised. You know, everybody knows this is the greatest rivalry of all sports. I'm happy they doing it, but at the same time, I don't feel like they have got like shied away from it. You know, it's always been there, Like, I read something like earlier the year, like they was talking about like the defense. I'm like, I like it. Like, I like that. I love like the talk. I love everything. Like, but also at the same time, though, it's like we happy that we get to play this rivalry, of course. But at the same time, it's our game to play, not nobody else's.
Yeah, you were going to interview with you during the off season. You talked about focusing on life after football, and you were trying to become, well, you have hopes of becoming a future athletic director, and you were like doing things that like local high schools learn how that process works. Can you enlighten us on how that process has been going for you?
Right now, it's been going pretty well. I'm starting to build my brand up a little bit more. Just trying to reach out to like little kids to make sure like they're all right, like mentally, not just, you know, physically, just mentally. Because Coach Day harps on that with us a lot. It's like all the mental stuff. Like physically, you can have all the attributes in the world, but at the same time, if you don't have the mental part, you're not going to really succeed that well. You know, it's like for me, for instance, it's all mental. Like with my learning disability, like in high school, I can actually like tell kids about what I went through. You know, yeah, it might be repetitive, but also at the same time, you gotta understand where I'm coming from, of why I'm getting on you so much about you gotta do this right, you gotta do that right. You know, it's like telling y'all kids the same thing. Like, all right, make sure you do this right. Yeah, they could be like, yeah, all right, but at the same time, like they have somebody else right there to talk to about it. They'll be like, oh, now I understand where you're coming from. You know.
You got to play earlier in your career, so you might have a good perspective on what Harry Miller went through last season. Just how would you assess how he played last season?
You know, especially that game when he got, you know, every holding call during that one series. Everybody was bashing him. Like, oh, he's this, he's that. I was like, well, let me help him out because I went through that. Because with me, with the Wisconsin game, when we first played on 2019, I believe, right? Yeah, 2019, I was getting bashed because I gave up a sack. I'm like, dang, like, this not good. Let me, like, calm down. Let me get off Twitter real quick. Just calm myself down so I won't get overwhelmed as much. Or even though the Michigan State game as well, 2018, I was reading comments like left and right. I'm like, this guy sucks. This guy's this. Why is he even playing? I'm like, all right, that's how y'all feel. Later on down the road, I see the same tweets from the same person, like, oh, he's the greatest player ever. I'm like, you just the one that was talking stuff about me. Like, what's going on? Like, are you bipolar? Like what's going on right now? But at the same time, I understand like the fans are like very into it as well. So I gave him that too.
So what did you tell Harry to help him?
Don't get on Twitter. Do not get on like your social media at all. Just let it ride. Critique yourself a little bit harder. See what you need to do better. Hand placement, your feet, certain stuff, And he's been doing that, and even though he had like his little injury, of course, he's still been working on that. He's been like after every workout, he's been literally about a difference every day. Like just trying to make sure, like, all right, I'm not gonna do the same mistake that I did against Rutgers, or same mistake against Northwestern, or any other team. Just to make sure he's ahead of the learning curve.
What did people maybe not give him credit for doing right last year?
Here's up.
What did people not give him credit for doing right last year? They're pointing out the mistakes. What were they missing?
How hard he's working, and how hard, like, people don't understand how hard offensive lineman is, like how offensive line actually is. Like, everybody wants us to be like the perfect player. Nobody's really perfect. Like, we all ain't perfect people. Like, we all not. Like, everybody in this room is not. Like, you can't just critique one person because their name is out there. You got to critique your own self as well,
Thayer, you mentioned that growth process that takes place. It's very rare to be a fourth-year starting left tackle in college football. Like, how special is that to have that kind of opportunity?
It's very special, but at the same time, I got to still do what I need to do, It's a great accomplishment. Just like Billy Price, he actually started for 4 years, played in the national championship game, won the national championship game. That's an accomplishment right there. And I'm just calling for him and just talking to him a little bit. He's been doing great,
You mentioned building your brand. How much do you think name, image, and likeness can help you all as college athletes?
It can help a lot. But I know for sure, most people, all people is trying to do it for money, as well. But at the same time, I'm trying to make sure, life after football for the kids is all right, football is only for so long, what are you going to do after that? How's your personal life? How's your family doing? Are you going to learn, are you learning what not to do? Just keep moving on from that.
I'm curious, what's your perspective on the college football playoff looking to expand to 12 teams? What do you think that will be like for players of potentially having a longer playoff?
Just if we have less games in the regular season, it will be good. But I haven't really put in that much thought into it. It just popped up today. I was like, oh, okay, we're doing this now, or or what? But everything should be good. I think everybody should get a chance, but also at the same time, you actually need to earn your chance to actually get to the college playoffs, though.
You mentioned less games in regular season. How hard do you think it would be on players if they had to play 16, 17 games in a year?
Oh, so much harder. Like the NFL, you get to practice once a week during pads. With us, we practice twice a week in pads, and that's wear and tear on our bodies as well. Because we want to play, but also at the same time, we need to rest too, just to make sure we're gonna be ready for the end of the season and don't get injured,
Yeah.
There, you have open with a Thursday night game in Minnesota. What do you expect out of that?
The atmosphere is gonna be great. I can't wait for that one. They have a good defense. They have a good offense as well. I just can't wait to actually play them in their own stadium. It's just play them. Because especially in front of fans, it's so good. It's so great to actually have them there.
Added importance that it's a Big Ten game. Added importance to the game because it's a Big Ten conference game.
100%.
There, you mentioned you haven't had team practices yet. How important is this summer session right here, kind of getting ready for team practices and the preseason to start?
The summer session for us is basically building our team. You know, during winter, it's all about being stronger. You know, being more conditioned for football for spring game and spring practice. You know, during the summer it's more of building our team, but also being stronger as well and faster, just to make sure like we're gonna do everything right. You know, and I personally think like for our team, like we're gonna be there, but right now I don't think we're there yet, and we always got stuff to improve on too, no matter what it is.
How important of a role has Mick Marotti played in the summer for your team? I mean, you're a veteran. How important?
A very important role. Like he made everybody stronger. He made everybody more mentally tough. You know, but at the same time though, like he's an important piece to it. But at the same time, like our leadership, like me, Zach, Jeremy, Haskell, Marcus, and Seven, like our leadership means a lot more to the players than the coaches, of course, because the coaches always talk, but when the players start talking, like that means like, oh, we need to actually do it. We actually need to do it right, you know.
Darren, you're by many the number one return attack in the country. Week 2, you're going to go against maybe the number one player in the country. People. How hard is it personally to focus day by day up to the first game when you know what's coming in the second?
You know, we always tell players, like our players, like just take one game at a time. You know, with me with the going against the Oregon's DN, of course, like yes, it's great. I'm going against him. I can make a name for myself a little bit more. But also at the same time though, you gotta treat everybody with respect. You know, like, I gotta treat Minnesota's DNs with respect. Like treat them like they are the number one defensive end in the country. I gotta treat Oregon's like DN as the number one DN in the country, of course, and so on and so forth. Like anybody, me and Nick go against, we always want to treat them with respect, always.
One of the things that's brought up outside is how name, image, and likeness impacts the locker room. Forgive me if you've already been asked this sort of thing, but I'm wondering inside how much is a regular discussion inside the locker room, and how much do you think it'll impact team dynamics and things of that nature?
Well, I really don't think it's gonna be that much, like a separation. But also at the same time, like people are gonna get like a little bit butthurt because they're not making as much money as they should. But also at the same time, if you don't perform on the field, or if you don't perform in the academic side, like you're not about to get anything. That's facts.
You think there's a pretty good understanding of that?
Everybody understands that, and yeah, I have really nothing much to say about that one.
The NFL's different.
Yeah.
Is that how you guys approach that thing? Like, is it just like the NFL? Guys make different amount of money depending on how good you are, how well you play. Is that kind of how you guys are thinking about that?
Well, same time it's new. Like we all try and get used to it. Of course, it's like, dang, like we actually like having this opportunity to actually like get a new car, actually get money for our name. Like like it's very new to us. But I know down the road it's gonna be a little bit more competitive. But also at the same time, like it also depends on the leaders as well. Like all right, the NIL stuff is off to the side. Focus on the team now. You always got to focus on the team first before yourself.
You mentioned the importance of player leadership. What have you done as one of those player leaders to really step up in that regard?
Be a little bit more vocal, because everybody knows that I'm not like the talkative person. But again, I'm not the rah type person just to get everybody hyped up. I'm more just like, all right, we all need to do this like as a team. I'm not just going to single everybody out. We all going to do this as a team. We all need to pick each other up. If defense is on the field and they get stopped, let's get up and get rowdy for everybody else, And it goes on and on, like, for all three phases, even special teams. If our kicker makes a field goal, we happy. Defense gets stopped, we happy. Offense get a first down or a touchdown, a big play, we happy. Like, we always encourage each other on and also critique ourselves as well.
Who are some of the younger guys that you've seen step up on the offensive line this offseason?
Josh Fryer, Paris Johnson. Matt Jones is not a freshman, of course, but he's stepped up as well. Donovan Jackson in his class. has came in and actually like performed well in the weight room. Now you got to transfer that to on the field, because the weight room is different than the field, you know.
How much does it make you better knowing that you're going to be going up against Zach Harrison and Tyreek Smith and Tyler Friday and Javonte Jean-Baptiste and all those other defensive ends in practice?
Like with Zach Harrison, like he's a freak of nature. So is Tyreek. You know, like I go against them every day. And I also went against Chase Young, Nick Bosa. I went with them. I went against Chase and Nick for 2 years. Actually, no, Chase for 3 years, of course, but Nick for 2. And they made me better to see what I need to work on as well. You know, and going against Zach and with his speed, his athleticism as well, and Tyreek as well, like going against them is going to be like, it might make my job a lot more easier, because their game is going to be a lot more easier as well.
Thayer, you play for a program that prides itself on producing first-round picks at a lot of different positions. There's only been 2 first-round tackles since Orlando and Taylor Decker. Do you guys talk about that much? Do you think that maybe you and Nick and Harris in a couple of years might be able to change that and add a few more names to that list?
Yeah, we talked about it, but also at the same time it's not on our agenda. Like it's on our scratch that. I'm sorry. Like it's on our agenda, but we don't focus on that as much. It's like if we play the game of football, we gonna be a first rounder or whatever round we go in. You know, it's all about our play.
When recruits come to visit campus and talk to you guys, I'd imagine that piece is important, the NFL development piece. Do you talk with tackles much about the track record, I guess, or lack thereof, of producing first-round tackles, and it matters to them at all? Not
at all, because when we start talking about that, it's more like a business. Like with them, like, it's a business type relationship with a player to player, instead of like, all right, if you're gonna come here, I'm gonna treat you like my brother. We're gonna talk about some stuff that you don't talk about with your parents, you know. Just talk about like life stuff. Like we don't talk about like first rounders, because we all like first football players. We always talk about football. We always talk about football this, football that. But also at the same time, when we start talking about like other stuff, like food, for instance, school, something like that, life lessons, like that builds more trust and builds your confidence up a lot more than just talking about first rounders, you know.
But I'm wondering if you at all think of yourself sort of as, I don't know, kind of the quintessential development guy when you think about how a player can develop in this program to go from where you came from when you came in to now you're going to be a 4-year starting left tackle with, 50-something starts under his belt by the time his career is over.
Yeah, it's like that. Hey, 50-something, I don't know. But
well, or I guess not quite 50. You had a real season last year over 50.
Yeah. Man, I really ain't gotten that much thought. That was a good question right there. Can I come back to that one?
Sure.
Appreciate that.